Well, good morning. I don't know if I like this thing. I'm trying something out. I bought a mic, so if anybody shows up here, let me know how the audio sounds. I feel like I'm whispering. Hmm, check, 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 check. It's super loud in my earpiece. I do not know how to make it quieter. Check one, two, check one, two. You mean to tell me nobody is awake at 3 a.m.? Come on. Somebody's got to be awake. Let me know if this audio is okay. Like I said, it sounds really weird in this microphone or this earpiece. Daryl, good morning, sir. Can you hear me? Like, is my audio okay? It seems like it's picking everything up. I bought this wireless mic. Um, I tried it on a video yesterday and I didn't like the sound of it. So I thought I would try it on a live show. I definitely am not gonna like holding this the whole time. Can somebody, there's a couple people in here right now. Can you hear me? Like, is the audio okay? I wish I knew how to turn the volume down. It's okay. I wonder if it would be better if I went to my headset like I normally do. Um, like I said, this sounds kind of echoey, like in this earpiece. And I can hear it when I'm quiet. I can hear the mic picking everything up. Why don't we try that real quick? Why don't I get to my headset? Sorry, I don't know how to turn this thing on. I don't like that. Give me a minute here. Let me check. All right, I'm back. Can you hear me now? That sound to me this sounds better. I feel like I was whispering and it sounded weird in my earpiece. Oh, maybe oh it comes with an extra one. Anyways, yeah, I bought this new wireless mic and I don't know if I'm a fan of it. I mean, it was pretty cheap. It was only like 30 bucks, but still. Can you all still hear me? Sorry, I'm just putting this all back in case I want to ship it back to Amazon. I don't ever headset is definitely better. All right. Yeah, see, I used the mic on a video the other day or yesterday, and I re-listened to the video that I had shot and I didn't like it. Like it sounded weird. Obviously, I didn't spend enough money on this mic. It was on sale, so I bought it. But anyways, how's everybody doing? It's super early in the morning. Sorry about the confusion right away or the testing of a product I purchased. Um, which kind of sucks because I did a lot of not a lot, I did a day of research on wireless mics and a bunch of people on YouTube talked very highly about this microphone. Um, I just don't like it. I just don't like it. Gonna have to send it back. Anyways, how's everybody doing? Super early, Brad. Welcome, man. Welcome. Super early in the morning. It's 3 a.m. I'm here in Illinois, just outside of Chicago. Probably, I'm a little bit outside of Chicago. I'm in one of the suburbs of Chicago. Um, I have a 3 a.m. delivery. Um, I got here, checked in. They told me, hey, we're super busy this morning. It's going to be a little bit before we can get to you. And I said, hey, man, that's fine. I can take a nap real quick. But I wanted to go live for a minute and check out that wireless microphone and see if it made a difference. I don't think it does. Like I said, the audio from the video I shot yesterday just sounds different. Like it sounds better without using a microphone. You know what I mean? Because I can go in and edit some of the outside noise. Um, Sorry, I'm just looking. There's lots of freaking trucks here. I got CR England pulling in, backing in on the driver's side of me. It looks like Hirschbach's gonna park in or back in on the passenger side of me. A little bit scary, a little bit scary. How's everybody doing this morning though? I probably should try and take a nap, but I'm already half a cup in of coffee. Oh, morning, Hollywood. Glad you're out making money. Um, I'm actually making money too. I was talking to a buddy yesterday, his own carrier, started his own carrier, probably about 7, 8 months ago. And him and I were talking, and I don't know about all you, but like the first 2 quarters of 2023 were pretty difficult. Like the market was pretty soft. Um, I would say the middle of the third quarter and all of the fourth quarter have been extremely profitable for me. Um, which I needed. I mean, I'm not going to hide behind something. I needed to see some good numbers. You know what I mean? I needed to pad that bank account, get the maintenance funds back up to where I want them to be. Um, so yeah, I would say like the middle of the third quarter and all of the fourth quarter have been very, very nice, very good, for at least what I do. And then I was doing some reading the other day. I read 2 articles that said that capacity is starting to drop like quickly, which is I'm sorry to say, which is a good thing. We had that huge influx of people during a certain time that went out and got their own authority, thought, hey, everything's going to be $4 or $5 a mile. This is the new normal. And I think a lot of those people, come on, Sierra England. Okay, he's far enough away. I think a lot of those people really felt the squeeze and they've gotten out of it. So I'm hoping that 2024 I can kind of stay like what the fourth quarter has been for me. If it stays like that in 2024, if first quarter is like this, man, I'm I'm gonna feel pretty dang good. Um, Making extra payments on the truck right now, get this thing paid off. Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to go back to trucking with no truck payment. Anytime I add payments to things, because my personal life, like I don't really live, obviously, I carry the debt of a mortgage, and there's good debt and there's bad debt, right? There's some people that'll say any debt's bad debt. I'm not one of those people. Um, but I obviously have a mortgage, but outside of my mortgage, man, I ain't got nothing. Like, I don't have any debt. The debt that I've accrued is basically business debt. You know what I mean? I don't live in debt. So it was nice to kind of have the fourth quarter give me the leeway to make extra payments on my truck, get this truck note down a little bit, um, and hopefully I can have it paid off, in another year, year and a half. That would feel pretty good, a good accomplishment. If I can get this truck paid off in the next year, year and a half, I can sell it, and if I chose to, and make money on it. If I just rode this loan out, um, I don't I don't like the position that it puts me in. And what I mean by that is, I bought this truck with 320,000 miles on it. I'm at like 397 now. Um, if I rode this out for 3 more years, I mean, you're looking at, I would be owning a truck with, 650,000 miles on it. That just, I don't like that. I think that kind of puts me backwards, you know what I mean? But if I can get the truck paid off quickly, I'm going to save a bunch of money in interest, and if I sold it for 40 grand, I would feel okay. You know what I mean? That I'm just throwing numbers out there. I don't even know if I could. My goal is come to your side of town and try out the Midwest freight. Well, Hollywood, it's not bad. You're out in California, right? If I remember right, you're a California guy. Um, you should come out here, man. I don't know. Don't take offense to this, Hollywood. I don't know, like, if you like if I remember right, you're from California. Um, I don't know if you're like over the road. Just make sure, check your weather. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to scare you at all. I'm not, I think it's a good thing if you try different markets, you try different areas. Just if you're not used to winter driving, just make sure you check the weather. Um, there's times that driving in the Midwest can be pretty sketchy, pretty sketchy. And it comes up like that, like in a snap of a finger. The weather changes out here, especially in Minnesota and Wisconsin. But Wheelburner, what's up, brother? Happy birthday, man! Happy birthday. Um, your 80/20 local, 80 and 20 OTR. Yeah, 80/20. That was what I started at. Until I started buying more equipment, was 80/20. Yeah, it's not bad, man. I I feel like I'm a little protected. I've stated that before. And what I mean by that is I haul a lot of customer freight. Um, and don't get me wrong, customer freight follows trends. It follows the market. You're not, I don't know how to say this, but it customer freight moves differently than spot market freight. And it does the same thing in the pay. Like, let's say the spot market gets beat up 1 month, right? You're not going to see that in your contracted freight. You're going to see that 6 months down the road. You know what I mean? They're going to come to you 6 months down the road and be like, "Hey, the market's softening a little bit. We don't have the volume that we once had." That's what I'm seeing with customer freight right now, is the volume isn't as big as it was. The volume has shrunk. So that's where the carriers that haul that customer freight, hopefully, like, you've done a good job, because that's when they start looking to, like, let go of carriers, um, and bring in other carriers, or just work with a select few carriers. Matter of fact, I got a buddy who just got a contract from a company. He found a load off the spot market. Listen to this. This is crazy. He found a load off the spot market. He booked it. He showed up to pick it up, and it was through another trucking company. And the guy was like outside waiting for him, and the guy started commenting on how clean his equipment was, how clean his truck was, how clean his trailer was. And he approached my buddy, and he's like, "Hey," he's like, "would you be interested in doing this for us, like contracting it through us? We have 2 loads a week like this. What's your capacity like? We want to fire some of the owner operators." And the reason he gave them was a couple, but one of them was how their equipment looked. The owner of this company, um, which also owns trucks, takes pride in equipment. Granted, they drive your hood trucks, and they're all chromed out, super nice looking, almost like a show working truck. um But my buddy, he's in a nice Cascadia. I think it's like a 2021 Cascadia. Um, and the guy's like, hey, like, do you have capacity? And my buddy's got 2 trucks. And he's like, well, I got 2 trucks. And my buddy got a contract through this company based on how he looked professional. He showed up wearing, a sweatshirt, a vest, pants, boots. His truck was clean. And they got rid of the other guys that had that contract where their equipment was not up to their standards. So, like, customers, you never know what a customer's really thinking. Like, it could be as something as your equipment to them might not look like it could pass a DOT inspection. Well, that matters. You know what I mean? And we're seeing that now in the market. We're seeing people, at least I am. And once again, this is contracted freight, not spot market freight. But if your truck's being held together by zip ties and duct tape, you know, you might lose some of those contracts now, because the shippers or the customers can afford to let you go. You know what I mean? Their volumes dropped, so their capacity doesn't need to be what it once was. But Tolga's in the house. What up, brother? How are you? I'm working right now. Gonna be listening in the background. Well, I appreciate that, Tolga. Um, really do appreciate that. Thanks for listening. Ron's in the house. I see it. Sorry, I'm trying to. If you see it in a store, if you see it in a store, it got there in a truck. Well, got there in a truck. Even if it was the last final mile, you're definitely right. Unless they have, tracks that pull right up to their store. You know what I mean? And they can unload a rail. I've seen a lot of stuff moving on rail lately. A lot of those containers, and semi trailers. I've seen tons of semi trailers on rail cars. So now we got to compete with the railroad. Yeah. It's not good. That's not good. Wheelburner says, I have a friend of mine that was refused at a customer for that exact reason. His truck looked like crap and there was garbage all over the dash. It actually makes a difference. It does make a difference, Wheelburner. It really does. Your equipment matters. I mean, it's your first impressions. I mean, I was raised like not to prejudge people, not to, you know what I mean? Like, I think we all were, maybe some of us weren't, but like, that's how I was raised. But I was also raised with the understanding of how important your first impression is. Is this guy coming to yell at me? You know what, guys? I think they're coming to check my seal right now. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Or maybe they're doing the truck next to me. I don't know what they're doing here. They're doing the truck next to me. Bummer. But yeah, that stuff matters. Your first impression matters. Because the other thing I look at is, even if I'm hauling a spot market load, I'm representing not only the carrier that I'm leased onto, but I'm representing the broker. You know what I mean? You might say I shouldn't care about that, which, I if I don't haul customer freight, I am hauling spot market freight from people that I have worked with before. Very seldom am I dealing with any new brokerages, anything that I'm not familiar with. It happens to me now and then if I'm up in the Northeast. But most of the time, I am hauling very consistent freight from the same broker slash agent, whatever you want to call them, because I have that working relationship with them. And I do believe that if they're contracting me, because that's what it is, the Raycon is a contract. If they're contracting me to do a job, I have to do it as professional as possible. which part of that is how I look. You know what I mean? Now I do wear my hat backwards. Um, some people like it, some people don't. I don't care. I'm wearing it backwards, whether you like it or not. Uh, I appreciate that, Toga. Appreciate that. Um, take another sip of my coffee here, real quick. I would say the biggest thing in trucking that I'm experiencing right now that oh, this freaking camera. I can't stay. The biggest thing in trucking right now that's actually like bothering me is the wait times. I happen to be at a, I guess I could say, I don't want to say the location, but I'm at an Americold right now, in Illinois, one of the suburbs of Chicago. And it's, you know, I had a 3 a.m. appointment, and I swear to you that everybody else here has a 3 a.m. appointment. Like, that's the frustrating thing in trucking right now is we look at, I can kind of talk a little bit about this on the spot market. I definitely can talk about it with customer freight because I see it. The volumes have dropped right now. That doesn't mean like there's no freight out there. It's just not, you have to plan ahead. My entire week is already booked. My week for, because I'm going to be home for Christmas, so I wanted loads Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I want to be home Friday morning. My entire week was booked last week. You could argue that that might not be the best way to do things because whether you're hauling spot market, the customer freight doesn't matter. That rate is set. Spot market rates, maybe you could get more if you wait, but the reality is, at least for what I do and what I like to haul, right? I'm very particular about the lanes I run. I don't just book freight and head to different parts of the country. I like to stay in certain parts of the country for a couple of reasons. I don't know if you guys agree with this or not. Brian, you would be good if you're still in here to answer this question. I think it's almost as important to know how much it costs you to operate a lane versus what the lane pays. Does that make sense? And what I mean by that is, let's take a lane, Minnesota to Chicago. It's a lane I run a lot. It's a matter of fact, it's a lane that I was able to secure contracts on. It is a lane that is heavily ran by mega carriers. Your big mega carriers run the lane that I just talked about, Minnesota to Chicago. Um, I think it's important to know how much it costs you to operate that lane. You know, you don't have any tolls in Minnesota or Wisconsin, but you have tolls in Illinois. Now, 90% of the tolls in Illinois are avoidable. You know what I mean? It's going to add time to your delivery. It's going to add, for instance, this load I just did. I added 5 miles, 5.3 miles to my total trip versus taking one toll. Actually, it would have been 2 tolls. I would have paid 2 tolls. No, I would only paid 1 toll. Um, but I hate paying tolls. But I know where the cheapest place to get fuel is on this lane, which, believe it or not, is Illinois. How I purchase my fuel is I want the lowest raw price of diesel. So I look at, I really don't fuel up hardly ever in Minnesota because I don't have a lot of miles in Minnesota, and Minnesota has a low IFTA rate. Like, if I'm running Minnesota to Chicago, Minnesota's IFTA is like 28 cents. Wisconsin's IFTA is 32 cents. Illinois' IFTA tax is 78 cents. So your cheapest raw price for fuel is Illinois. So if you know the cost of the lane that you are running, then you can look at contracts or even spot freight and bid them, in my mind, pretty freaking aggressively to where, hey, I'm going to burn through 3/4 of a tank of fuel running from Minnesota to Chicago and back. You're going to put on 810 miles, let's say, depending on where in Illinois you're going. If you're going southern part of like Chicago or the northern part of Chicago, let's just say an average of 750 to 800 miles if you do a round trip. If you know how much it costs you to do that, you, in my mind, are at an advantage versus somebody that's just trying to book a load for that day. So I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I operate. So my entire week is already booked out. My entire week consists of Minnesota to Chicago, back to Minnesota, back to Chicago, Chicago, back to Minnesota, and I'm done. It's not going to be a lot of miles. Is it a huge revenue week? It's profitable. You know what I mean? It's a $5,000-$6,000 week working. Like I said, I'll be done. My last load delivers Friday morning at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'll be done by lunchtime Friday. And I started at lunchtime Monday. So it's a good week for me. And like I said, I don't put a lot of wear and tear on my equipment. It's easy driving. And I booked this a week ago. I had every load booked by last Thursday. Trying to stay ahead of the game, you know what I mean? And like I said, it's with every, I guess it's is that 3 loads? Every load I booked, I'm hauling the same load twice this week for the exact same broker. And I know that he has the load 3 times a week. So I called him and said, hey, I have the availability to do 2 of these for you at this rate. There was no real negotiation. Like I said, hey, what does the temperature have to be at? I can do it for this much. And this is my all in. Like, I'm not negotiating from here. And he took it. Now you could say, oh, you could have asked for more. Maybe, but I booked a load based on the criteria that I need to be profitable. You know, um, wish they'd come out here and check my seal. Then I can go to bed. Although I'm drinking this coffee, son of a biscuit. Do I have water? I think I have water in the back under the bunk. I should probably open that. Water will freeze under the bunk right now. Anyways, somebody tell me about their experiences in trucking. I'm still so, year 3. This was year 3 of being owning equipment and operating out here leased onto a carrier. And I'm still really glad that I made the decision. I'm really glad of like the mentorship that I have because I still lean on those guys. I still lean on Cash is King. I still ask Cash is King questions. I still ask DIY semi questions. Because I don't want to be a statistic, or if I'm a statistic, I want to be on the right side of the statistic. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to give back trucks. I don't want to have to sell personal items to pay taxes and things like that. You know what I mean? I feel like the position I'm in today is a good position to be in. And I never would have felt this way had I not taken the risk. Because it is a risk. It's a risk anytime you're dropping 40, 50, $60,000 on a truck. Some people spend more, and then dropping another $40,000 on a trailer. Like, there's risk in that. You know what I mean? There's risk in taking out lines of credit, or, there's risk in this. But I do believe if you can figure out a way to operate that works for you, the risk is worth the reward. And it doesn't mean there's not going to be days that you're sitting there thinking you're failing. I mean, there's going to be days that you think you're failing. You know what I mean? But I'm also a believer that failure can be a good thing. You learn from it, you can grow from it. Um, you know, it doesn't mean you're not capable of something. It just means you need to learn a little bit more. Which, man, I've been doing this. I've been a trucker 25 years. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. 25 years. Now, it all hasn't been spent behind the wheel. I was a dispatcher for a year and a half, driver manager. I took over a warehouse. I worked for a company and then kind of got promoted into a different position. That I did that for about a year, year and a half also. But every time I leave the truck, I end up right back in the driver's seat. Every time. Um, this is definitely what I'm meant to do. This is giving me it's given me a very good life. Stressful life, but a very good life. Everything that I've been able to give my kids has been because of trucking. Anything my wife and I have done or own has been because of trucking. And I think it's only gotten better since I became an owner operator. Um, Now I just need to figure out what direction to go with this. You know what I mean? I'm at that point 3 years in where do I want to stay one truck, one trailer? Do I want to buy more equipment and maybe lease it out? Do I want to hire employees? Um, do I want my own authority? You know, these are all questions I have to answer. The own authority probably isn't going to happen. I mean, I can't see a reason right now other than like hiring my own drivers that I'd want my own authority because everything right now, I I would say that that'd be like the last thing on what I should do. Like I would rather buy trailers or buy trucks and do lease that equipment out than go out and get my own authority. Um, because I'm very happy where I am. That's the other thing. Man, I in 25 years, now I didn't have many driving jobs. I only drove, I think I drove for 4 or 5 companies. I was with all of them. I was with one company for 13 years and I ended up getting laid off and I went through a period of like 2 or 3 different driving jobs. I would have stayed at one had the guy not retired and sold his business. And I did not like the person he sold his business to. So I left that company. But trucking is a whole hell of a lot easier when you are with the right company and you enjoy the company that you're with. Jerome Jones stopped by. What up, Big Money? How are you doing, man? What's the weather like in Ohio? Are you in Ohio? Um, but yeah, I don't know, man. How are you doing, by the way, Jerome Jones? I know you went out and bought a trailer and you were doing that power only thing for a long time and then went out and bought a trailer and invested in your business and invested in yourself. Hope things are working out for you, man. You've been around a long time, not only on this channel, but I remember seeing you on other channels before I even did YouTube. Um, but yeah, let's talk about that real quick. Running into people that recognize you from YouTube. Um, I had a guy stop me the other day in Minnesota, and it was kind of a funny. His name was Adam. Kind of a funny encounter. He caught me walking outside of a shipper. Um, I gotta say this: everybody, I've said it in vlogs, everybody that I've met it's been a challenge. 28 degrees. Oh, 20. You're in a heat wave, Jerome Jones. It's 13 degrees here where I am. I'm in Illinois right now. Well, I hope it gets better for you, man. You know, eh, things that are worthwhile in life are a challenge. You know what I mean? I've worked very hard in life to get to certain points that I feel like are milestones, you know what I mean? Like saving money for kids' colleges, right? That's a hard thing to do. You know what I mean? And I started doing that later than I wanted to, but when I look at my oldest daughter in school right now and her school's covered, if the youngest chooses to go to college, her schooling's going to be covered, but that was a challenge. Like, and what I mean by that is there's times where like I've lived a pretty humble life, like where my food was meant for my kids and I ate beans and rice. You know what I mean? Not that there's anything wrong with beans and rice, but like when that's like your staple meal and you're saving all the good protein, the chicken, the beef, the pork, whatever, when you're saving that stuff for your kids and then you're eating beans and rice with some noodles or some string green beans, because that's all you can afford. Like, that's a challenge. You know what I mean? And I did that for a long time, especially when I was a single parent, man. Like, that was not easy. That was a struggle. And, I have a very caring, loving family that would have helped me anytime I called them. But I didn't want to call them. I didn't want to have to call my mom and dad and say, "Hey, I need help right now." Now this was years ago. This would have been, I don't know, 2009, maybe 2010. Like, stuff was rough and it was a challenge. But that period in my life led me to where I am today. It was after my divorce. I learned a lot in that process. I would not wish a divorce on my worst enemy, um, whether it's a good one or a bad one. Mine happened to be a pretty decent, you know, separation. Um, but like I was so overextended in life that I lost everything. I mean, I lost everything. Lost houses, lost cars. I lost everything and had to start from nothing. And it was hard. It was a challenge. But I certainly wouldn't be in the position I'm in today had I not gone through that, or I looked for easier ways to deal with my problems other than me just dealing with them. And I think that's really allowed me in business to look at the ups and downs of business as growth. You know what I mean? I'm not I do get scared, I do get nervous, but it's a healthy fear. You know what I mean? It's a healthy realization. Um, I can't take 3 weeks off at a time and go ice fishing. Like, I can, but then I have to suffer the consequences as a business for doing that. Um, I am going fishing, by the way, in January. Uh, I'm not going as long as I typically do. Matter of fact, I'm driving up separately. I go with a big group of guys, and I'm driving up separately. They're gonna stay a week. I'm only gonna stay 2 nights, because I don't want to risk losing out on some of the freight I have. Uh, Thinking about getting Paul's sail training program. You know what? Obviously, I experience the benefits of DIY and Paul's relationship, their business relationship, and what they do as a team. I have never taken any one of his courses. I will say I've talked to him on the phone. He is a very smart guy, like very smart. And I think that's why I have some of the mind frame that I have in trucking. I think that's why I haul a lot of customer freight, is because I do see the value in it. There is value in customer freight. There is something to be said about having a foundation, right? Having a foundation that you are responsible for moving X amount of freight in a month. You know what I mean? You might have to mix in some other stuff there to, you know, it might not all work out on the same days and things like that. But just the fact that you know that if you position yourself in a certain part of the country, that you have access to, oh, the broker just texted me. You know what, guys? I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to have to call this broker. I can't believe he's already awake. Um, so yeah, I appreciate everybody stopping in here. Make sure you give me a thumbs up. Jerome Jones, Toga, uh, Wheel Burner. I saw a couple of names I didn't really recognize. Ron Wade, thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate it. Hollywood, always nice to see you, man. Um, Brad, thanks for stopping by. And Daryl Worth, I really appreciate you stopping by too. I know you're a big supporter of DIY, so I really appreciate it, guys. Hope everybody has a great day. Stay safe out there, stay warm, and yeah, we'll talk to you next time. All right, later. And this thing ain't working.